Recently on TikTok I've been seeing this rabbit pointing at a clock, and then the words, "All roads lead to Rome." It's a meme which was going around online a few months ago, and while it seemed like another passing fad that I just didn't really care to know, this time it actually stuck with me quite a bit. One moment you're just scrolling, and the next it hits you with that same metronomic song, giving you the sense of impending doom. And even before I understood what it meant, I felt it. Something about it feels archetypal, as if its meaning is intrinsic to all of us. You can feel it in your stomach before your brain has even begun decoding it. Because the message isn't really about Rome, it's about inevitability. All roads lead to Rome becomes, no matter what choice you make, you'll still end up in the same place. It essentially takes different paths and leads them to the same ending. Not geographically, but emotionally. Love, heartbreak, friendship, silence, dreams, compromise, youth, aging, success, emptiness, life, death. It's like the meme is saying, you can take any road you want, but don't get excited, you already know where it ends. And the audio having this ticking quality, making it feel like time is passing, just makes things worse, because it doesn't just say, you'll end up there, it says, time is already pushing you there. In the story of Alice in Wonderland, the rabbit is obsessed with being late, clutching the watch, panicking that time is running out. And this meme uses that exact feeling, but it's not a funny lateness anymore, it's a dread of what's approaching. And unfortunately, this can feel like a useful piece of wisdom, but that's the danger, because if you believe it too hard, your thoughts soon turn into, well, why try? For example, if wealth doesn't buy you happiness, why work? If love eventually turns to heartbreak and grief, why love? If friendships inevitably drift apart, why bother? Fatalism can feel like maturity a lot of the time, but in reality it is mostly just fear. It's essentially giving you a reason to not put yourself out there. So, do all roads really lead to Rome? And if they do, what are we supposed to do about it? These are the two questions I would like to answer in this video. So again, it might be worth looking at where the idea first came from, and why people started saying this in the first place. Was it always about inevitability, or did we turn it into that? I had always assumed the saying was literal rather than figurative, as in just a statement of the fact that all European roads physically lead to Rome, end of story. And to be fair, the assumption isn't actually that crazy. Rome really was a road centre. They built roads for troops, trade, and control. If you wanted to move an empire, you needed roads that could move legions. Rome really was very famous for its roads. The Romans themselves kind of encouraged this idea that Rome was the centre of everything. Augustus set up something called the Golden Milestone, basically a symbolic mile zero. Not because every road literally ends at that one stone, but because Rome wanted to be the point everything gets measured from. When you walk around Rome, you feel it. This place was built to connect. But then I found something that surprised me. The phrase, "all roads lead to Rome," wasn't originally a Roman slogan. It shows up much later, in medieval writing actually, around the year 1175. One of the earliest known recorded uses was in Alain de Lille's Liber Parabolorum, where it is written, "Mille vie ducunt homines per saecula Romam," which is translated as, "1,000 roads lead men forever to Rome." The context of the use here was one of a positive outlook. It was saying there are many ways which will lead you to the same sacred destination, or in this case, God. So even back then, it's already doing two things at once. It's grounded in literal reality, but it's also a metaphor, meaning many different paths or methods will lead you to the same outcome. So the meme didn't invent the metaphor. The metaphor had been baked into the phrase for nearly 1,000 years, but the internet did do something new. Rather than it being, "there are many paths leading you to your goal," it became, "there is no way out of eventual suffering." No longer is it being used as a proverb, instead it's a nihilistic prophecy. The original vibe of the saying is, almost comforting in a sense. Like, there are lots of ways to get where you want to be, so don't worry too much. However, now it is much darker. The rabbit makes it feel like a deadline, not a destination. It's not just Rome exists and you can get there. Instead it's, you want to go to Paris, but in the end you'll be in Rome. And that's the point. This meme isn't really about making choices, it's about the feeling that choices don't matter. It takes hope in uncertainty and turns it into one cynical conclusion. I know how this ends, and it isn't good. And that's why people share it. It takes private pain and turns it into a rule. It turns, why does this always happen to me, into, this is just what happens to everyone. And I get why that feels reassuring. If it was inevitable, then it wasn't your fault. If you predicted it, you can't be surprised, and you're also not the fool. In the end, fatalism is a form of emotional armor. But this is the sort of thinking that leads you to stop trying in life, because why put yourself out there if the ending is already pre-written, and your pain is just exacerbated by the ridicule of other people telling you, I told you so. Why chase the dream if you'll just end up looking like an idiot? And I think it hits so hard because it mixes three different things together. First, some Romes are real. Aging, loss, death, those aren't opinions, they're just a deal of life. Second, some Romes are patterns we repeat. They really happen, but due to our own shortcomings. You avoid intimacy, so relationships keep ending the same way. You don't reach out, so friendships drift. You chase intensity, so you burn out. That isn't fate, that's just a habit. The habitual nature of those failings just makes them feel unavoidable. And third, some Romes are stories we just tell ourselves afterwards and repackage to make ourselves feel better. You look back on a relationship you had which abruptly came to an end and say, well, it had to end eventually. The business you put your blood, sweat, and tears into eventually fails, and you think, the system was against me from the start. Or you begin feeling like your dreams are no longer obtainable, so you move on knowing that eventually you have to be realistic. The repackaging makes it feel like you knew all along they were going to fail, so it never really mattered, because that hurts less than just admitting you didn't know what the future held. So the internet didn't invent the metaphor, it just turned it against you, and the scary part is, it's easy to relate to. And for me, Rome isn't about heartbreak. Instead, it's loneliness. It's losing people and losing direction. I suppose that's why that stupid rabbit stuck with me. When I first saw the image and heard the music, I didn't need to understand it intellectually. I felt it straight away, because in some form, I had already kind of felt it in my own life. Some losses do not arrive as one dramatic ending. They happen gradually. A friendship becomes less frequent, then less natural, then suddenly it's something you only remember in snapshots. And the strange part is, sometimes nothing ever even happened. No betrayal, no big final argument, just time, distance, and life moving in slightly different directions. Whether that is through death, through distance, through people moving across countries and continents, or simply through life carrying them somewhere I cannot follow. I think that is the Rome that frightens me the most. Not one big tragic ending, just the slow, unavoidable truth that you do not get to keep everyone. And it isn't just people, sometimes it is your own dreams. The things you were certain of when you were younger do not always disappear all at once. They fade, they get negotiated with, they get made smaller, quieter, and more practical. And one of the worst feelings is realizing that what you wanted has not exactly died, it has just been slowly muted. I think one of my deepest fears is not failure in some dramatic sense. It is drift. It is waking up one day and realizing I have gradually become someone I never consciously chose to be. That I have accepted a life that feels functional from the outside, but inwardly empty. Working a job which feels meaningless, just because I never got to do what I truly wanted. It's not that there is anything wrong with ordinary life. Instead, it's the fear of sleepwalking my way into it and only realizing when it's too late. So as stupid as that rabbit is, it is not hard to see why it lodged itself into my head. And when you see thousands of other people sharing the same feeling, there is something strangely comforting about it. And I think that is part of why this kind of thing spreads so easily. Not because people enjoy despair, but because it feels good to know other people have felt it too. But of course, that same idea is also horrifying, because if it is really all fixed, then, well, what exactly can you change? And worse yet, there is still one uncomfortable truth left, which is the fact that, in the biggest sense, all roads really do lead to the same place. We will eventually lose our loved ones and face heartbreak. We cannot help but grow old and have our bodies weaken. And in the end, no matter what, we will eventually die. So if these are the ultimate endings for all of us, I guess in some sense all roads genuinely do lead to Rome, in which case the nihilistic view portrayed by the meme is unfortunately correct. So what are you supposed to do about that? Well, there's no need to despair, because fortunately people have been thinking about that question for a very long time. There are many religions, philosophies, and cultural ideas that tackle this existential question. But two traditions that I am going to focus on the very surface of are Buddhism and Stoicism. They answer the question of what is to be done, not by denying the ending, but instead by teaching you how to face it without turning your whole life into a countdown. Buddhism starts with an idea that is basically the meme itself, but without the despair. There's a line in the Dhammapada, which is basically a collection of short, punchy verses attributed to the Buddha. It says, all conditioned things are impermanent, and that sounds bleak until you hear the point. The point isn't, so give up. The point is, see it clearly, so you stop clinging to what cannot stay. Buddhism is ruthless when tackling suffering. In the Four Noble Truths, it says that the origin of suffering is craving, that grasping thirst that keeps you reaching for more, different, not this. So yes, things change, but what turns change into torment is the mind demanding reality be something different. Then there's a teaching that explains the meme perfectly. The Buddha compares it to being struck by a dart and then being struck by a second one. The first dart is unavoidable. Pain, loss, aging, change. The second dart is optional. It's the mental spiral. It's the story that says, this proves my life is doomed. So yes, Rome exists in Buddhism. It is the first dart. But the meme is mistaking the second dart as being unavoidable too. And Buddhism even gives you a practice for facing this directly. It's called the 5 remembrances, or essentially subjects for frequent reflection. I am subject to aging, I am subject to illness, I am subject to death, I will be separated from what I love, and I am the owner of my actions. And the point isn't to become bleak, it's to stop being shocked, to loosen the grip, to stop turning reality into betrayal. Stoicism comes at the same problem from a different angle. And to be honest, Stoicism has become a bit of a self-help internet trend lately, where it seems to portray the philosophy as a sort of vibe for being cold and unbothered. But that's not what one of the leading figures of Stoicism, Epictetus, is doing. Epictetus opens his handbook with a split that instantly kills fatalism by saying, some things are in our control and others are not. What's up to you is your judgments, choices, values, what you chase, what you refuse. What's not up to you is outcomes, other people, reputation, luck, illness, or death. And that changes everything, because it means even if the destination is fixed, you still have a driver's seat. Epictetus has this line, it feels like it was written for the meme itself. Men are disturbed not by things, but by principles and notions which they form concerning things, and he immediately uses death as the example. Death isn't the terror, he says. The terror is the judgment that death is terrible. So Stoicism isn't saying nothing hurts. It's saying don't hand your mind over to the worst story by default. And then Epictetus takes it further by saying don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen. And that sounds difficult, but that's because it is. It's removing the impossible demand that life must go my way, and replacing it with a workable aim of I will meet life as it is and respond with character. And this is where Buddhism and Stoicism meet. Both say that Rome is real, and heading to it is outside of our control. However, both agree that it is up to you how you respond to this, and with training, you can stop living like you're already defeated. So, your business failed, your last relationship ended in breakup, you no longer talk to that close friend of yours. Well, success was never a promise. You never owned your partner's love, and that friend was free to grow apart from you, as you were from them. However, as Epictetus said, maybe we should train our minds to judge the destination differently. After all, Rome can be a pretty beautiful place. Maybe the business fails, but at least now you're no longer burning through time, money and effort. You may have lost your love, but perhaps they are in a better place now, or maybe now you're free to find the person you truly love. And just maybe, you could find friends which have more in common with you. So maybe we shouldn't be afraid that all paths lead to Rome. Perhaps the journey along the path can be enjoyable, and the destination can be pretty great too. I came to Rome with that rabbit ticking in my head, like the city itself was the punchline. But I soon realised something. Rome itself is proof of impermanence. Empires end, marble cracks, statues lose their faces, and yet beauty is still to be found in what was created. Not just in the ruins, but also in what they meant and in the story they left behind. So while the roads leading to Rome can be stunning, and the destination too, something I had never considered before was that even after the ultimate destination is reached, death, beautiful things can still persist from what was. Your life changes people. Maybe you can care for or nourish beauty within your children or others, which will continue on after you're gone. Maybe you can build something physical, such as a piece of art, which will outlast you. It doesn't matter what it is, but the point is that endings don't erase meaning. So here's what I am trying to learn to accept. I can't control how life turns out. I can't control who stays. I can't control the ending. But I can control whether I show up with courage every day. And when the doom story starts, I treat it like the second arrow. I don't fire it. So maybe the point isn't to escape Rome. The point is to choose the road and decide what you're leaving behind as you walk. Yes, all roads really do end the same ultimately. That part is not negotiable. But the roads themselves are wildly different, and each lead to another set of paths. While the meme makes Rome feel like a threat, the reality is Rome is extremely beautiful with the right framing. You can look at the ruins and see sadness at a great empire lost, or view it as an inspiring era of human history which brought about some of humanity's greatest accomplishments, and then look on that with fondness. So I'm done letting the rabbit turn my life into a countdown. I'm going to enjoy the road and see many beautiful things along the way, and I will look back on it with happiness before finding joy in the final destination.